Hey everyone. I have a poem for you. It's called Questioning.
Don't forget to share, subscribe, and
Questioning
like.
your existence, precede the quest if you exist in Him. I have so many questions, my brain forget to punctuate the past, add commas to the present, and exclamate the future. It was written already before my conception. My God did not lie nor fake his detection. That I was chosen amongst a crowd who bookmarked their existence with chapters he extinguished in Revelations. The fire burning wasn't your blurry vision, it was your soul burning when you saw what was hidden. The silence you kept protected you then. Learn to walk boldly, my friend, for it was already written. Thank you. Hey, so I'm sweating like I actually did a workout. No, that was very exhausting for me. My back is killing me. I'm not sure what I tweaked this time around, but I'm gonna go for x-ray tomorrow. Anyway, this video, I'm gonna be discussing workers' compensation. And I just want those who are navigating the system, if you have family or friends navigating the system, know that I am praying for you, I'm rooting for you, and don't give up. Don't give up, don't lose hope. Your healing is a journey that only you can take. And I want you to remember your power. It can be so exhausting getting the help and having people in your corner who believe you. Because sometimes certain myths about people on workers' compensation is that they're taking advantage of the system, nothing's really wrong with them. And in many cases, it's not true. People actually get injured on the job. So you're going to go through a lot of emotions, and it's all valid. You will find practitioners who are going to treat you very, very, very appalling. And even unfortunately, they may ignore your cries for help. Just keep going and know that there are very good and caring and compassionate people out there who want to help you, who want to see you win. You may feel that you'll be loyal to your employer, that you don't want to complain. You don't want to file a complaint. You don't want to open up a claim. You don't want to ask them for their money. You want to just wait until they decide. Ask them for your money. That you don't want to wait until they decide to pay you. But you need to understand that you're gonna have to fight for yourself. You're gonna have to advocate for yourself, and that you're worth what you owed. And we understand where people exist. There are going to be those that take advantage of the system. And unfortunately, with COVID, a lot of scammers have found a way to make it difficult for really integrity-filled people. Just keep going. Just keep going. Many people I met who are on workers' compensation had to leave the state because they couldn't afford. Well, I lived in New York at the time. They couldn't afford living in New York. They lost their job, or they lost their income. They weren't making any money or not as much. So they left to go to a more affordable state. Some people didn't have the support system in place, considering or depending on what type of injury they had. Um, it's a very hard process to navigate, but know that you're not alone and that you can do it. Take it one day at a time. So when I talk about the people I met, I'm more so talking when I left New York. I moved to Charlotte, North Carolina, and the people I spoke to, because I had to go to a medical visit like every month, it's the people I spoke to at the office visits, and just whatever checkup I was doing, therapy, and people from Pennsylvania, from Connecticut, and just all over. And unfortunately, many times people on workers' compensation, the doctor's office is just packed. It's filled to capacity, so they tend to double book or book everyone around the same time, and you may be waiting hours. So those who don't know, a few years ago, I fell at work and I hurt my back, and I was working as an occupational therapist in the school system in New York City. So the next day after the fall, well, right after the fall, I was in excruciating pain. But I laid on the floor for a little bit, and I finally was able to get home. and I was just in excruciating pain. But next day, my employer reached out and said, "Hey, Trisha, what's going on? You're supposed to be at work at this time and see these amount of children." And I was like, I hurt my back. I'm in excruciating pain. There's no way I can make it to work. And then my employer said, "Well, you're gonna have to fill out a workers' compensation and fill out a report, let us know what happened and everything." And I did. And then 2 days later, I get another one. Can you go email? When can you return back to work? We haven't received anything from a doctor to say you're unable to work. What's going on? And I said, I'm in excruciating pain. I cannot work. I'm not able to. Um, I can't even get out of bed. And through the tears, crying, I finally made it to urgent care. And they got the report. And they said, well, we need a report to see what your work status is. It's saying you have the capacity to work still, this and that. So that time I worked as an occupational therapist. And from there, that point, that week, I was just like, I don't want to open up a claim. I'll be okay. And then I was like, you know what? No, I'm going to open up a claim. I fell out work, and this is what happened. And I let them know. And I had some witnesses there at the time, because that's what's going to ask you on the note that you write. But it was just 2 weeks passed, 3 weeks passed. They were like, oh, first of all, they didn't have a person who directly handled that aspect of workers' comp. And the HR person didn't know what to do the next steps. And unfortunately for her, she let me know in the email, this is a whole new procedure. She doesn't know what to do. And she's like, well, you're a contract therapist, so you shouldn't have to fill out a workers' comp claim and this. And it was just, even through my pain, I still found the energy or the fight to advocate. 'Cause I was like, this is some bullshit. And it was a hard fight. It was a hard fight, lots of tears. And then I had to eventually get a lawyer, which I didn't want to get, because I really love this company. And, I worked hard for them. I've worked for them on and off for several years. But then it wasn't about the love for the company.
My apologies, my video cut out because I did not have enough storage space on my phone. So as I was saying, it wasn't about the love for the company. It was then about acknowledging the love for myself and what I needed for my healing journey. Workers' compensation, for those who don't know, also known as workers' comp, is basically an insurance that employers pay into. And this insurance provides cash benefits and our medical care for workers who are injured or become ill as a direct result of their job. This fund is used to assist those individuals who have injured themselves on the job. It pays for medical services, rehabilitation, job retraining, transportation services, and a payout, if applicable, more so compensation of lost wages. If you or anyone you know needs help navigating workers' compensation, please reach out to me at exploreviellc@gmail.com. exploreviellc@gmail.com. Don't forget to subscribe, share, and like. Thank you. So the exercises you guys are going to see me do today are things that I do to strengthen my back. I'm in excruciating pain more than usual, and I am just going to take it easy, take breaks as needed, but still do some things to strengthen my core. And even though I would like to just be laying down in bed, I know that won't be beneficial to me or for me. All right, so in many of my videos, I always discuss faith. because not only is my faith very important, it has kept me holding on through the tumultuous times of my life. And navigating workers' comp was one of the most difficult times of my life. And I think the hardest part was dealing with people who either said, you look fine, you don't look like your back hurt, coming up where I came from, my back hurt, my foot could have had this, they could have chopped off my hand, and I would still go to work and just suck it up, be strong, and you got this, and you come from a strong, and it was just unwarranted advice and unnecessary comments. And over the years, the few weeks, few months, I learned to ignore them or give them a look and stuff. And eventually, when I found my voice and then when I stopped being a zombie with all the medications I was on, I just said, excuse me, your story is not my story. Whether you go to work with your foot chopped off or you're dizzy or your head hurt, that's on you. That's not me, you know? But anyway, studies have shown that those who believe in God or a higher being have better health outcomes. And religion and spirituality can play a significant role in health by reducing stress, helping with coping strategies, offering social support. Someone, doesn't feel alone, especially when you know there's a greater power at play. You don't feel as hopeless. You feel there's a sense of purpose. And religion and spirituality does impact person's medical decision or influences it. So health outcomes are events that occur as a result of an intervention or a treatment. These things can be measured, and certain factors that affect your health outcomes are social determinants of health, which is a person's education, their living environment, their social and community context, their education, access and quality, neighborhood and built environment. So I'm going to discuss more about social determinants of health. So these are non-medical things that impact your health and longevity. These things determine your health risk and your outcomes. Such things like economic stability. Is a person employed? Do they have a steady income to meet their basic needs? Are they in debt? Do they have a support system in place? Voucher programs, services. Another thing, neighborhood and physical environment. Do you have access to healthy food? Do you have access to parks or playgrounds? Is your environment walkable? Are you able to walk safely around your neighborhood? Do you have a sidewalk? Do you have access to places like a bodega, a supermarket, the pharmacy? Do you have transportation to get to your medical visits or to get around? Is it safe? Is violence or crime an issue? Education. Do you have access to quality education from kindergarten to 12th grade? Do you have access to vocational schools or program trades? How is your ability to understand things and comprehend your literacy level? Are you dealing with a poorly performing school? Are your children dealing with bullying? What about community and social context? How well are you integrated in the community? How well do you know your neighbors? How well do they accept your culture, or do you accept theirs? Do you have a social support system? Are you part of a group, a club, or organization? Do you speak to your neighbors often? Do you get involved with your community? There's neighborhood watch programs, there's next door apps to see what's going on in your environment. Do you have block parties you attend? Do you face a lot of discrimination due to your sexual orientation, your age, your race, education? Are you stressed out due to family members? Are you in an abusive relationship? Or do you feel isolated, neglected? Healthcare access and quality. Do you have health coverage? Do you have access to quality providers within a reasonable amount of time? Sometimes in different states, there's a shortage of healthcare providers. So you have to wait months to meet with certain doctors, especially with specialty services. What about your provider? Do they understand your culture? Do they understand your language, your thought process? How do you view healing? Like I was raised that tea can cure everything. That Vicks is the best ointment. That you just grin and bear the pain. Do you receive quality services from your provider? If your provider says, you look fine to me, when you express to them, then you're in a lot of pain. I recommend that you find another provider. Another thing, do you feel comfortable sharing with your provider? Because if you don't feel comfortable with someone who is administering health or helping you, then find someone else. Because if you don't trust the process or trust this individual, you're not going to get the healing that you deserve. The Bureau of Labor Statistics, which is a government organization that tracks workplace injuries and illnesses, reported that there was 2.6 million non-fatal workplace injuries and illnesses in 2023. This is in the private industry. And the rate of 2.4 cases per 100 full-time equivalent workers were injured. This is a noted decline from 2022, especially in respiratory illnesses. And this is big because remember COVID, there was a lot of respiratory injury. So there is always a question being asked as to the most dangerous industry. And this depends on what measurement is being used. The top 4 dangerous industries are construction, because this experienced the most deaths, education and health services, because this experienced the most non-fatal injuries and illnesses involving days away from work. Agriculture, forestry, fishing, and hunting experienced the highest death rate per 100,000 workers. Transportation and warehousing experienced the highest injury and illness rate involving days away from work for 10,000 workers. I know I said a lot. Going back to workers' comp, every state, it varies. It varies to the amount someone gets paid. It also varies as far as what things are covered, unfortunately. If you were to fall at work, the first thing you want to do is fill out a note, an incident report, to state as to what exactly happened. You want to include photos if you have it. You want to add witnesses who were there, because that will help a great deal. And you want to give it to your human resource person or your supervisor as soon as possible. You will then be notified of a decision if you have a workers' compensation claim, and you will get a case manager, and then you could start the proceedings as to get the medical services that you need. But if you were denied, or you are denied, you can file an appeal with the Workers' Compensation Board, which is a state agency that oversees the program, and this will help with your dispute. Typically, when you're off from work, you get paid 2/3 of your gross pay. In some cases, you may not be able to return to work due to the injury. That is called a temporary total disability, and you'll get compensated while recovering. The rate of recovery varies for each individual, if it takes you days, weeks, months, years. Some people, workers' compensation, people can receive it for 3 months to 7 years. It all depends. So I learned that Texas is the only state in which It does not require employers to carry workers' compensation. I did not know that. I thought every state had to pay into it. Texas said, no, we're going to do our own thing. Hold up. Also important to note that some states exclude small businesses and different requirements for various industries. In most states, only regular employees are full-time. Didn't mean to say regular, I'm sorry for those contract workers. Only full-time employees are eligible for workers' compensation. Independent contractors are not. Insurance fraud is a rampant issue, and this is when employees may falsify report their injury was sustained on the job and it wasn't. They exaggerate the severity of their injury, or they just invent an injury. There's something called the National Insurance Crime Board, which is an agency that asserts that there are organized criminal conspiracies of crooked physicians, patients, and attorneys who also commit workers' compensation fraud. So I want to say to the people who work in human resources or the business owners, I want you to say, please believe your employee, because this determines how you treat this individual. Your bias will interfere with your care and level of assistance that you will dispense to this individual. And I want you to realize that one day you may be in this person's shoes, your children, your spouse, your loved one. And I guarantee you that anyone watching this probably knows someone who have been injured or has been injured on the job. Don't forget to share, subscribe, or like. Don't forget to share, subscribe, or like. Remember your power.